she's just stayed really ready. And what I love about that, it's such a great lesson, I think, to a lot of kids on different teams. And I'd like to point out Hannah Stalky, because she was seeing how Addie was going. That top and in look, that's my favorite. I'd prefer not as much with this particular team to enter it from the wing. And when we enter it from the top, a lot of good things happen. So when it was rolling, you know, Hannah was just cheering her little heart out. So I felt like, just with the way when I watched their defense, that particular top and in look, and I felt like we could have we have success. We see, you got to see in the game. And then Addie just got pretty confident. And then when Addie would kind of float to that elbow, some ball screen action when they were icing, Addie's pretty good out there. So I'm really, really happy for both of them, but really happy for how selfless they both are.
We've seen Lucy Olson play some good basketball. We've seen her struggle at times since she's coming here to Iowa, especially in Big Ten play a little bit. But just talk about what you saw from her in the second half. That looked like the Lucy Olson that played at Villanova last year.
Well, in that third quarter, it was somewhere, I can't remember, where after one of the shots, right before it started, I went up to her and I just said it. And looked at her, I said, you got to know how much I believe in you. I said, it's go time. Just because sometimes she's such a great kid, and I think, what's harder to understand from the outside is when you transfer in as a senior and you're a point guard, you're still very new and you're trying to learn it and run it, and there's a lot that happens in your head, and so she just wants to do so well, and she's felt the pressure too. So I just went up to her and we just had a moment, and I was just trying to free her up, and then she got one to go, and then when she gets one to go, and then some of those little fades and floaters, then they become a little bit more confident on the delivery. So I just am so happy for her to that she got to play free, and people I think really got to see that start to translate. I do think coming into learning a new system and the physicality game in and game out, we're still working how to adjust to that.
Boy, Jan, so many factors today. Caitlin's jersey retirement, top 14 coming to town, just national televised game. How did your team live up to the pressure that came with what today had to offer?
I think I'm just so doggone grateful. Kind of a funny story. On Friday, so Friday's night, the game was Sunday. We were talking about, we knew it was happening, but that was the day I kind of talked about how great it was going to be. I really wanted them to embrace it and just be like, how awesome is this moment? And so I talked a lot about the freshmen. I'm like, part of the reason you came, you watched her, and that was part of the excitement of that era, and you'll get a feel of that. I said it's top 5 matchup. This is why you came, to have those. And then I looked at the upperclassmen and said, and now you can lead the way, because when it kind of became Beatlemania with us at the end of that last year, we found the way. I said, but that 40 minutes, that it's, us versus USC, we will celebrate her afterwards. So got everybody there. What I didn't know is on Friday, they put all those 22 towels up. So we walk in after it just was like 40 minutes of us, and it was like 22, 22, 22. And I looked at the players and I thought, okay, everybody's still with me. They all kind of chuckled, right? Because I was trying to set the scene. But I think they understand, and they're proud of that. And they just, I think they left it where it was. It was a moment. It was cool. It was going to be after the game, and that's what I tried to do. But yeah, did I? You feel the weight of that? I did. But mostly it was good because I wanted to have Caitlin's day be good top to bottom, and I think they did too.
Yeah. If you could have scripted today, the whole day, I mean, could have gone any better. Was this a perfect day?
Yeah, aside the second quarter, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, I think, what I told the team after the game, what I'm so happy for them about is, they've been staying the course, right? After Maryland all the way up, and they keep coming, and they keep, leaning in, and, we keep, working. And I was so happy they got this moment, because so many, they had go the other way, right? And it's a possession here, it's a possession there. And I really challenged him at halftime, and I said, you know what, not today. Not after everything you've been through. I said, there is a moment, and I don't think this defines the season by any means. I think, Minnesota played USC, had it to 6, I think, at one point at USC. And the Big Ten's so tough. But what it is such a great lesson. A life lesson of adversity is hard, but if you keep showing up, it's gonna turn. And so that's why I feel really grateful for her. And I'm just so happy for him, because I just really love coaching them. I just couldn't, as I've said before, I just really couldn't have a better group to start at this particular era.
Scott, obviously this was a huge, maybe a landmark win of some sorts for you personally, for this program. But then there's also the sport at large, which Caitlin kind of defined and brought to a higher level, and your opponent had all the players sit on the bench and watch and absorb it. And even your fans cheered Juju Watkins as opposed to some other fans.
Right.
What does that mean for the sport, but also for what Iowa represents, that you have a top 4 team that respects the tradition and history?
Yeah, I think those of us that have been in women's sports for so long, right? We've been there when people weren't. We've been there when you had some pretty great athletes that weren't generational, but there wasn't as many people watching them. But it's that same thing, the lessons, the work ethic, playing for the joy, for the love of the game. And now we've hit a moment in time where I thought Lisa said it best after the game. It's wise to support women, and it's smart, and it's great, all the things. But I think, all the people in women's basketball now, they really appreciate what Caitlin and company did, and hopefully what we did here at the University of Iowa. And, Caitlin's 101. And so I think, most teams would have wanted to stay to see that respect, but I certainly thought it was cool that Lindsay and her group did. But I just think it is a moment in time for everyone when a GOAT like Caitlin gets to have the moment.
How did you feel like you did against Juju in terms of your approach coming in and what you wanted to accomplish?
I mean, I loved our game plan before the game, and I thought it held true. I mean, she took she took a lot of shots to get points. She's going to get her points. I mean, she's great, right? Free throws, where she 10 for 11. But I think, making it hard. That's what you got to do with the great ones. You just try to make it hard and make other people beat you, which they did. I mean, on occasion, right? The threes went in. The 55 hadn't, she probably ended up with about where her average was. But I thought we did a pretty good job trying to crowd her, trying to, when she saw a seam, that we were quickly there. And I was happy with our zone. I thought zone, I wanted our zone to work. You guys haven't seen the zone very often this year. So I was, the first half, we didn't need to play it. It's kind of hard to go to it. I really thought we'd go to it earlier, but we were hold and serve until we kind of unraveled offensively a bit. So then the second half, I thought that was a really good shift to go mostly zone. So she's a great player, and she's just smooth and all the things, but I think our players did a pretty good job of that game plan.
Looked like we didn't see Hannah Stokey in the fourth quarter. Just wanted to ask about what her status is, her availability, and then.
Well, I think I addressed that earlier. It's just being a good teammate.
Oh.
I mean, Addie came into that fourth, and I was so proud of Addie when we're rolling and going fast. I don't mean that negatively. I'm just saying, it's just a teammate, selfless. Because Addie, when it was going in there, I mean, Addie, that top and in look, Addie ended up being 6 for 8, and she had a really great offensive rebound and putback, and she was pretty big in there against some of their size, of 44 and 13. And, Hannah had those 4 fouls, and so we just made that decision to kind of keep going with what, felt. But Hannah's terrific in the sense of, I think she understood, because a lot of the times, first half Hannah did really, really great. So there's no really status to report other than they're just really good, selfless teammates, and I think they understood the mission.
Yeah.
Your press break struggled for a stretch there. Did you make an adjustment, and what did you tell the team when things really unraveled there for a bit? And then it seemed like it got a little better.
It did get better, but we just, that's what the press can do, is that residual. And we've been running it beautifully. And we have two that we like, but we just, all of a sudden, we got hesitant. And then when you get hesitant on your heels against a really great team, so we went in, we were catching a little low. You don't wanna catch it low in the corners, you wanna catch it higher, and you need to look for the slicer, and my 5 was way too far. But when we have this great crowd, you're trying not to blow every time out, and you think you got it till you ain't got it, right? And so at halftime, we went back, were able to draw it up, and then we went between a zone press breaker and one of our player press breakers. Even though they kept in zone sometimes, it still freed us up to, go to 4-1 or 1-4 and back to her. So we just lost our way. We got much more aggressive in the second half with it. But yeah, I wasn't pleased with that. Way too many turnovers, but we just didn't stay strong in our mind.
Nancy.
Jan, you said this, you said that this game isn't gonna define the season, but when you lost as much as you guys did, and you had the changes that you guys did, how much can a game like this help with the belief that that you've settled?
Yeah, and I think when I remember that, certainly I'm thrilled, grateful, thankful, I think I'll sleep a little better tonight, all the things. But what I meant is like there are, 7 games left in the season, right? And look, I mean, we've been a one possession in every game I've replayed in my mind thousands of times and learned and all the things, I think we called great timeouts to advance tonight, we maybe hadn't done that as well a couple of games ago. So I think it really will help us with that belief. What positive out of a negative, we still didn't shoot great tonight, right? But we're able to win. If we can shoot it a little better and hold our defense, I think there's a lot of promise for this next 7 games and to hopefully love it to be the big tournament, right? But this team, I think you saw how much we counted on Guyton. I think you see what Strimlo can do when she's in, right? And Mulaney got a couple minutes, she's gonna be coming. But those minutes that we're getting are gonna be so valuable, I hope. It'll keep stacking wins, but I think the future, building into next year and the following. So I would love to think that, but, maybe just a little gun shy. I mean, we still need to handle the press, right? We need to make shots, and I know when we're going to Minnesota, they're gonna be coming off 2 losses. We've had some big wins at Minnesota, and a lot of people remember Caitlin Clark in this jersey. And so, when we go into an environment, sometimes it's like, whoa, we get an incredible shot. So I think I'm just trying to stay steady, but obviously a top 4 win is huge. I'm incredibly proud of them, and I intend to build on it. But I do know the youth that we have sometimes, and we count on them a lot. And sometimes when you get in those tough stretches, we got a lot of tough road games ahead of us. So I'm being cautiously optimistic.
Obviously a lot of great players over the years, but now 3 in the rafters. What's it like to see that? And obviously Michelle was before your time, but what do you kind of see as the common thread between them?
I mean, I think the common thread between anybody that gets a jersey retired is just their mental fortitude. They're just able to do things that most people can't. And it just starts with the work ethic, but there's an expectation for greatness. And I feel so blessed to have been part of Caitlin's ride, but also Megan Gus's. And Michelle Edwards with Vivian Stringer era, they laid the foundation. But the great ones, it's just really cool to be around them, the way they're wired. They're wired just with a confidence that is, it's just uncanny, and it can lift everyone up. And if you get everybody aligned just right, to allow their confidence to buoy everybody else, you can hit it. And that's what really happened, Megan took us to Elite 8, and then Caitlin, of course, with her story. So, I think as a coach, I said even when I got this job, I just couldn't have had it any better. I've had such a, blessed career here, in my dream job, and then I just got my dream job with a different title. So my goal is to hopefully maybe get one more up there someday in this era, but I thought today was it's really a nice, it's a nice moment for them, because I know what it looked like from the outside, but we just kept in our team, and just like the next day and progress. So today, I think you saw a lot of the things that I've seen, in my locker room and on the court, and I'm really happy for them.
Thanks, Jan.